I love big board decks. I really would love to see Zeb get a win here. So
Yeah, you like big board decks and you cannot lie.
that's correct. All right, this is AV8R here, bringing you a cast of the KFPL Week 3 match between dchamp and Gorebelly. This is pre-recorded, so because we have to get up really early in the morning to cast, and this is going to play while we're making coffee. But I have here with me Siaka. Hey there, Siaka.
Hello.
And this is a pretty cool matchup. Definitely happening on a different time scale from us, but that just means there's no conflict with any of the games that we're trying to schedule. So let's get started. Siaka, do you want to go ahead and get started walking through dchamp's decks?
Yeah, sure thing. So we'll get started with his Worlds Collide deck, Zeb Large Marches Chronicler. So the first thing that anyone might notice here is the 11 chains on this deck. That is really good. So I think this could produce a lot of efficiency here beyond what you might expect from the efficiency score of 12. And it has 11 wins and 2 losses in OP. Another thing you might notice is the SAS score, 73. So it's among the lowest in any decks entering the KFPL. But I think this deck is probably underrated because of Brobnar, which is 15 SAS. That's pretty low, even for Worlds Collide Brobnar. So let's see what we have in here. A lot of creatures. I'm counting 9 creatures. One's Little Rapskull. That could slow things down. If you put Little Rapskull down and you're setting up with your other houses, your opponent has to waste a lot of time. Also, this deck has 28 creatures. That is huge. In the ABR League, we just had a 25 plus creature week stipulation for decks used this week. And 28 is really, really high. I've seen 26, 27. 28 definitely a lot.
Really quick, just for that 25 or more creature stipulation, it took... most teams have several thousand decks across all 10 players in the team, and most, or at least over 1,000. And most of the teams were reduced to, fewer than 100 decks.
Yeah.
That they had to pick from. So
we went from over 2,000 to 46. So we could filter by 28 and see how many there are. It might be 1 or 2.
There are at least 1,000 decks that have 28 creatures, but 29 is the max, and there are only 3 of those. So yeah, it really is significant.
So if Gorebelly doesn't have a deck that can deal with just total flood of creatures on the board, he's going to have big problems. Mm-hmm. Then in Dis, 2 Eon the Fringes. That's interesting. Maybe he's purging the rest of his Dis and he has a really efficient Brobnar. If he archived all the Brobnar with the Eddies in Logos, then maybe he's just in Logos for the entire game. So pretty interesting. This is a good counter against decks with Dis. Purge a lot of their interesting stuff. And yeah, just many good creatures in here. Well, the Malisons, that's just muscle. Rock Rub, Amber Control, Infernus, get rid of some key cards. Bornit going off could be a problem. And of course we have the Obsidian Forge, which could close out with a big Dis board. Obsidian Forge and Harbinger, pretty good board clear for emergencies. I don't think you want to clear the board in this deck, but we'll see about that.
Mm-hmm. Just one crazy note. Mimic Shell doesn't get played a lot, but it's a crazy fun card. I mean, I was just imagining it coming down as a third eye or something.
Ooh, yeah, that's spicy. I was thinking a third Eddie.
Sure.
Copy some of Gorebelly's good creatures, a second Candle unit, a Daughter. Another thing about heavy creature decks is once you have a huge board, you can cycle the rest of your cards really, really quickly. Mm-hmm. Just lots of value here. Dr. Millie, we'll see if that'll ever fire. It'd be in the first few turns if that happens. Yeah, a lot of interesting stuff. I hope this deck gets played. Next up, we have the One Who Whispers of Bones. Great name. And we have a pretty good Shadows house. Too much Protect, 2 Ronnies. Life for Life can, with Bad Penny, can be nice. You don't have to get rid of one of your own creatures. Dust Chronicles, and Furtive Investors. Dust Chronicles pretty good for efficiency. Furtive Investors can be nice for a burst. Umbra, Yancey Gang gets you some more steel. Looks pretty standard, well-rounded Shadows. You got some creature control, some amber control.
I just want to say I'm a total shill for Ortanu. Like, just love it.
Yeah. Ortanu is pretty cool. It works well in here, I would imagine. I mean, I would have to see how this deck works. I sort of just said that. I don't really know how well it works, but we only have 18 creatures in this deck. Yeah, I don't know. Ortanu typically is like kind of slow, and I'm seeing a lot of the creatures here, if you blow them up with Ortanu's binding, they'll actually die because they have low power. Maybe you're using the binding to get back some good stuff with Archimedes. That could be a nice play. But yeah, this looks kind of slow. 2 Streaks online could be nice. Exhume's always great. Get an emergency Ronnie or Helper Bot to dig for a stop. Actually, in this, I'm seeing you can't even get a stop from hand except with Exhume. If you have Lash Out, you might be in good shape. And Logos, yeah, it looks pretty good. No earth-shattering combo in here. Archimedes, but there's no Bouncing Deathquark or anything like that, so it's just giving you some protection. Titan Mechanic, reduce the key cost, that's nice. Looks like a pretty solid A-tier deck.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see. Yeah, 75 SAS, so again on the lower end for this tournament. But I think this deck can have a lot of plays. Then lastly, we have Priest Ava, which is a Call of the Archons deck. Sanctum, Shadows, Untamed. This is not a combination you really see often. Typically, it has super low efficiency. You get some Amber control with Shadows and Sanctum, and some burst with Untamed. So decks with this house combination, they do tend to burst, but then Sanctum seems a little bit off, in my experience. We'll see what it can do here. Okay, Round Table's nice. What are you protecting? Hunting Witch, Witch of the Eye.
Maybe Dodger?
Dodger, yeah. Vault Keeper, that's good. When we go over Gorebelly, we can see if that's going to come into play. And yeah, you just have some big bodies with Round Table. So again, if Gorebelly's having problems holding the board, you have all these Sanctum Knights with the Round Table. Not great. They're not really controlling Amber, though. As a matter of fact, I don't see... Oh, okay, Take Hostages could do it. Doorstep? Yeah, I mean, I'd rather see Champion Tabris than Champion Anafiel over here. But you take what you get in Keyforge. Shadows? 3 Ghostly Hands. Okay, that'll give you some burst. Hopefully no Infernus on the other side. Poison Waves work well with Sanctum. 2 Nepenthe Seeds. That is really great. You could, let's say you have 0 and they have 6. You can bait and switch and seed it twice. Nope, that doesn't work. Never mind. You can go up to 3, of course, because that is the maximum. So that's a sort of way to get a pre-errata bait and switch. But yeah, you could get a Miasma back. You could get a Doorstep back. Radiant Truth. You get Key Charge back in case you do a burst with Hunting Witch and you want to do it again next turn. So yeah, Full Moon, Hunting Witch. A lot of pretty good value stuff. So yeah, all these decks, I think dchamp's going to have to play really well and show us if SAS can be overcome.
For sure. Yeah, the Nepenthe Miasma is, I think, one of the most interesting calls there, because that can just be... Sometimes you can just walk the game out that way if you just stop caring about Forge at start of turn.
Right. And we'll see that all the decks on the other side don't have artifact interactions. So these seeds will be going off at the optimal time.
Yeah, Customs Office in this deck, actually the only R, it's half an R in this entire matchup. So very, very interesting there. So if you're having to ban one of these, which do you think you ban?
I'm definitely banning Zeb. Like that win-loss record, it is a good deck, and I think can really mess you up if you don't have the answers.
Yeah, seems legit.
What do you think?
Yeah, I think I agree with you there. The E-Die with Eye is real scary to me, and the Mimic Gel just provides a lot of utility. You know, it can be an Infernus, it can be another E-Die, it can be another Eye.
Yeah.
It's scary.
But apparently Zeb lost the game in week 1, so we'll have to see.
Yeah, the Brobnar's a liability because it's just just seems slow.
Mm-hmm.
So the Brobnar feels like if it can get established, it could do real strong work, but that's the question. Would love to see an old Boomy pop.
Oh, that'd be great.
Okay, cool. So going into Gorebelly's decks here, I'll start with I actually don't know, their AOA deck, which is Gudrun, Zenith, Leodorabile, which I think is, I got this wrong last time, but I think this is French, because I think taking out I think replacing the vowel with an apostrophe here is a French thing, but I could be wrong. Do you know?
My guess would be French.
Well, I'm always happy to make a fool out of myself. Last time we casted, I guessed I think I guessed Italian and it was Spanish. So live and learn. So yeah, so this one is 81 SAS, which is really high, and you'll just see as a theme here, if SAS wins games, then you would expect Gorebelly to win this matchup here, but it seems to me like the strongest thing this deck has going for it is a really high E value. It has 31 expected amber. It has 17 printed pips, but then you have cards like Ronnie that are very likely, and Nerve Blast that are almost certainly going to get you an amber, but it's not, printed pip. And then Entropic Swirl, a card I just love that I think you can probably get 2 value out of. So the thing I don't love is in Logos I see 4 Cutthroat Research, which in AOA I just constantly felt let down by. But I wonder if these 2 Anguishes in Dece make that a little more viable. We'll have to see.
Yeah, that is an interesting line.
Yeah, and who knows? I mean, I can imagine some interesting plays even where you do like a Nerve Blast or Sucker Punch in Shadows to boost to hit your own Anguish. I don't know. There's interesting things that could happen there.
Yeah, for sure. So Sucker Punch can't hit your own creature, unfortunately, but Nerve Blast could do it.
That's right. Yeah.
And Poke can't either. That would be a nice synergy.
Right. Yeah, Poke one of the saddest cards. But yeah, you have cards like Helperbot and Jargoggle that I think are going to accelerate the deck a little bit. Swindle, I have mixed feelings about, but if you land it at the right time, could be big. And there is a lot of steel in this deck, so maybe that's where that Vault Keeper comes into play. Becomes an important card. We'll see.
Yeah, and this deck only has 11 creatures, so they're really flanking the creature count here. That's about as low as it can go. It can go lower, but 11 is definitely near the bottom end.
Right. Now, a theme you'll see, that, again, no R in these decks, but at least 2 near total board wipes in each deck. So in this one, we have Unlocked Gateway and Key to Dece. Mm-hmm. And in addition, we have Life Ward, we have Cull the Weak. So there are a bunch of ways to deal with creatures. And if it can land like the 2 Binding Irons and get Streak to stick on the board, then it could potentially slow down the opponent's deck quite a bit as well.
Yeah, if I'm dchamp, I think I'm looking at this one hard as a strike option. It just looks way too fast. Also, studying the name more closely, I think in French the adorable would not have an I in it, so this might be Italian.
Got it.
But that's again based on very outdated knowledge.
The Italian Keyforge market is super strong, so it would not shock me if they're exporting heat.
Oh yeah, tons of decks.
Next one up is the Worlds Collide deck. Rawlinson, the leader of Chester Pines. This one starts off with a Logos with double E-Die, which is always very strong. We have a Tau Vapors to back that up. And I think Data Forge can maybe come into play here. That's something that I tend to write off, but it could happen here, especially if you get a Wormhole Technician doing work and maybe a Titan Guardian that fires or something like that.
Yeah, I think you need to archive. You need a continuous archive engine to make use of it, because you want to be able to forge for free. You need 10 cards in your archive, or is it 9 cards? You need 9 cards in your archive. To forge at cost, you need 6 plus 4, right, to offset the cost.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
it's a little tough to get in this scenario. But
Yep.
you might be able to sneak Forge at cost and make it like a pseudo key charge at the end of the game.
Right. Yeah, probably just a pip, but you never know. In Saurian, we have 2 tributes, which can be kind of a big deal, and Calipigian Ideal, which could potentially let you forge off of those tributes, or Ludo. You might be able to tribute onto a creature, drop Ludo, and then fight to evaporate the amber, something like that. I think Golden Spiral is a lot more likely to make that kind of combo happen. And then to cap all that off, the board wipes in this deck are a pair of Axiom of Greask, which is a really nice single-sided board wipe if you have a lot of capture on your Saurian cards.
Yeah, definitely. And I think the ideal could come into play with the Data Forge as well.
Ooh, yeah.
Because you could tribute, Golden Spiral, Kirby, Data Forge. It's all gone.
Oh wow. Yeah. Ooh, that's an interesting play line right there. Dangerous to leave that stuff on the board, and no R, so the spiral's definitely staying there. The question is, if the Kirby's on the board and that stuff all hits. Yeah, so in Starlight, 2 Kirby's, that's great for your speed. That's why a big part of why the deck has 16 speed is because of those Kirby's. And then some creature protection with Karkar and Cloaking Dongle as well in Light of the Archons. Triple Zap is interesting for some like spot removal of problem cards like Archimedes maybe. One of 2 rares in this deck is Quixelstone, and it's always interesting to see whether Quixelstone gets played. Maybe it does here only because the opponent's decks seem to want to build a board, right? Especially if you're playing against the Worlds Collide deck that wants to throw creatures down. Maybe you do an early Quixel.
Yeah, I might revise my ban here. I don't know if I want to ban Zeb anymore. These first 2 decks seem pretty good against it.
Yeah, and even in situations where Quixel isn't necessarily a good play, it also has interesting effects if once you get towards the game, and where sometimes it becomes a good play even where it wouldn't have been earlier. So never write off the Quixel. Last up here is the Master Mutation deck, Maven, Ultra Ridge, Ochoa. Another Entropic Swirl here, which I'm just excited about. And then one of our board wipes here is Kurzap, which destroys each non-mutant creature, which against a deck that's not Mass Mutation is probably a one-sided board wipe, or going to wipe the other side of the board at least. Terato can be pretty fast, and you have a Grammar Bot to protect it. I think the centerpiece of this deck is the Dark Aember Vault, which, considering there are 12 mutants in here, is likely to significantly speed up the deck. And on top of that, it has 5 draw pips. So this deck seems like it's going to go very fast. In the Saurian, we have City State Interest, which is often going to be a key stop, and then Spoils of Battle, which makes that even worse, and Axiom of Greask, which again could you play that with a City State or a Spoils of Battle, and you very likely have a one-sided board wipe happening.
So mean.
Very strong there. Yeah. Ludo, so maybe they don't get that Amber back. The Forum of Giants seems like it's probably a good play in this deck, especially because of the Dark Aember Vault making 12 out of your 18 creatures 2 extra power. Seems pretty good.
Yeah,
and then,
that is the kicker in this deck, I think. Just with 12 mutants. And it being an Untamed means you're getting immediate value.
Right.
Like every creature in here is a mutant.
Yeah, every single one.
And so if you get into Vault's Blessing, ooh.
Yeah, so Vault's Blessing potentially, I mean, the ceiling on Vault's Blessing is that it could give you 13 Amber.
Yeah.
Which is outrageous.
Redonkulous. I don't know if there's any, like, one card. You play one card and you gain 13 Amber. I don't know if it exists.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe with Glorious Few if you're losing.
Yeah, it's like you're winning and you get a lot of Amber with Vault's Blessing. Glorious Many.
The Resurgences are are bonkers here too, because every one of those is very likely to pull back. Both of those are very likely to pull back 2 good creatures, give you 2 draws. The creatures are at least 3 power. Like, it seems pretty crazy.
Yeah, this is Untamed is a nightmare.
And I think on that basis, I would tend to want to ban this one. This one seems to me, I don't know, it's hard. The Quixel seems like a problem, but this one just seems like it's almost going to be a free win if that Dark Aember Vault hits the table anytime near the beginning of the game.
Yeah.
I don't know what you do about it.
You could get lucky. I mean, Lethologica might discard it. It could be on the bottom. I mean, what is this deck doing without the Vault? Yeah, you got some good stuff in here. Maybe you just get outraced.
Yeah.
I don't know. None of dchamp's decks looked particularly fast, though.
Yeah, and this deck seems like one of those. If you don't have full board wipes and you can't just outrace it, this deck has that inevitable feeling to it.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, I have to call out the Thero meta going on here.
Oh, there's Thero Centurion. Do you like Centurion more than Octavia?
Yeah, definitely, just because of that immediate effect. But I'm also just kind of playing it. We have a little meme going with Dave Cordero about his 5 Thero deck that he's pretty sure is going to lead to people complaining about the new Thero meta. So.
Well, if you want to have more meme discussions about Keyforge, come and join the Ancient Bear Republic Discord.
Yes, absolutely. Cool. All right. Well, I guess then we'll be seeing how this actually shakes out tomorrow morning. I think Gorebelly's decks are favored by SAS for sure, and I think I give him the edge, or I give them the edge on decks, but never count out the player and never count out the upset. What do you think?
Yeah, Gorebelly's decks look extremely scary, but anything can happen in this game. So the other decks aren't slouches, but they definitely appear to be of a lower caliber. So we'll have to see. And they don't look like they have like a particularly strong matchup against these decks either. Mm-hmm. So we'll see what happens. We might see a blowout. We might see a big upset.
Great. Well, we'll I guess if you're watching, then you'll get to see this get started in just a minute. So sit back and relax and enjoy.
All right. Good morning. It is bright and early here in California, but we're ready to get into dchamp versus Gorebelly. We're starting with Zeb versus Maven. Unfortunately, I don't know which decks were banned yet. But we'll find out as the match plays out. So we have Zeb versus Maven. Maven is something we were talking about last night, was a good candidate to be banned. Has a Dark Aember Vault that can really pop off and just a lot of great cards in Mass Mutation. And Zeb was the 28 creature Worlds Collide double Eddy deck. So I'm curious what was actually banned. Because kind of thinking these 2 decks would be the ban. All right, opening up with a Taunter, Prescriptive Grammar Bot. All right, Little Rap School coming down. I thought that was going to be a factor in slowing the game down, and looks like it's going to be played. So what's the plan to get rid of the Rap Skull? Got a bunch of destruction cards and logos in Maven. Just probably hasn't drawn them yet. So it's going to play creatures in the meantime and just get his engine going. On Zeb's side, what does putting down the Rap Skull buy him? I think also the opportunity just to draw more creatures. Doesn't want to go overboard though, because there is still a Krizap on the other side and Axiom of Grisk. Okay, it's using Brobnar to fight. Stun them. Yeah, that didn't... He played 2 cards. Oh, Savage Clash, I missed that one. So actually several board wipes on the other side. Here's the Dark Aember Vault. So things are going to get a lot faster. Yeah, I played 2 Brobnar cards and fought the Grammar Bot. Yeah, well at least Fandangle's not protected now, so that's something. Alright, Twin Bolt. Yep, you can't even get the Dark Fairy anymore because of the Dark Aember Vault. That card is great. It's just too nice. Like one-sided, you get power boost and library access on your mutants. Like, come on. And the Dark Fairy had a draw pip on it too, just for add insult to injury. Alright, so Zeb 28 creatures is actually losing on the board right now. So what is the plan here? Rapskull's gone. So Gorebelly's going to be reaping for value pretty soon. Yeah, this seems like a good idea. Get Harbinger going. And that Fandangle is live right now. And no Scaling Steel in Zeb. Alright, looks like he's just purging out his Dis. Trying to get to 2-house deck. Alright, so he's probably turned off Fandangle for one more turn. So if you're Gorebelly here, a Krizap isn't going to cut it anymore because of the Harbinger. Aximove Grisk also not a great idea. So maybe you stick with Untame and try to get more value. Or you can call it a day, activate Logos, blow up the board, and reset. Okay, so he's just playing more creatures, so this could be kind of good for Zeb. Huh, so he had Krizap, but he didn't play it. I might have played it there, and then I have my Munchlin and Lycobot, and dchamp have nothing. But he is forcing dchamp to go into Dis to handle the board, which isn't necessarily a bad idea. Like the Dark Aember Vault sort of backfiring here because now the Harbinger can attack someone and actually blow up. So dchamp taking his time. The Dis option does look pretty appealing, just based on the board state. And that Mutagenic Serum is going to pop off next turn if this board is not addressed. But the good news is if you reap with E on the fringes, blow up Harbinger, you're at check. And we've seen 6 mutants already, so there are only 6 more in the deck. So any board that follows after this can't be worse. Okay, he's going to Logos. Yeah, but the problem here is that now he's going to be paying 8 if he could forge this key because of the Pismire. But maybe I'm speaking too soon. No, there's nothing in Logos that can deal. Oh, he copied the Fandangle. I was just about to say something about that. That is a hot play. It would have been great if he could have got a Titan Guardian out and swing it into the Pismire to draw more cards. Because, yeah, he wants that gone, I think. Instead, he's just opting to get a lot of Amber. So killing Pismire will get you 2 Amber. But he just reaped instead. So it would take 2 creatures to do it, so I suppose it's a wash. Yeah, Gorebelly can't even really reap anymore because of this candle unit. Alright, just looking for more and more cards. So this Harbinger's looking tastier. Okay, there goes the board. Oh, Resurgence. Yikes. That's definitely the move. That might be the only recurrence in the deck. We haven't even seen many Saurians yet either. So after this mutant threat is dealt with, some dinosaurs are going to come down. But dchamp gets the key. and he gets to place potentially several more creatures. The board wipe is out of here though. Like Harbinger, that's it. As far as Untamed goes in Maven, I think we're mostly done. We've seen 6 cards in discard, 1 and 3 on the field. We do have another Resurgence. So I suppose when Gorebelly draws into that, we may see some more Untamed. But otherwise, I think he's due for a Saurian turn. He has 9 cards in his hand, by the way. So that makes me think they're mostly off. Well, they've got to be off house. He's just done playing Untamed. So likely, mostly a Saurian hand. Can open with the Axiom of Grisk, protect Pismire, wipe whatever dchamp is putting down here. But yeah, dchamp keeping a pretty good pace. That Pismire is the only thing slowing him down. Alright, well, I don't think we're going to see Axiom if he's playing the creatures. This Dark Aember Vault, he can't even hit the Citizen Shrix with his Malison. dchamp can't. Alright, Spoils of Battle and Forum of Giants. Forum of Giants, a nice synergy with Dark Aember Vault. Okay, now he's at 12. And as we saw before, there's no Scaling Steel on the other side. And even in Eon the Fringes, the other one, dchamp is going to have some issues because he just played this. So it seemed Gorebelly put his foot on the gas pedal. He's at 12 Amber. So he's going to be at check when he forges. Forum of Giants. And a pretty good Saurian turn coming up. Yeah, so you drop 4 Brobnar creatures that are basically blank. Yeah, that Harbinger, we really miss him. And I don't think dchamp's going to redraw him in time. Because the Dark Aember Vault came down in the first few turns. Maybe it's like turn 3. Yeah. That accelerated Gorebelly a lot. If the Dark Aember Vault came later in the deck, then I think dchamp would have been able to burst ahead enough. And that Pismire is pretty nasty. And especially if dchamp could get the Harbinger after the Saurians appeared. But it had to blow up before. Because the board that was previously there was already terrible. Okay, Aviators join the game. Awesome. Well, this game's I think on its way out, so that'll be a great transition point for him to jump in. Oh, yeah, I think it's pretty much over. Great effort from Zeb. It was looking pretty strong. I think the Dark Aember Vault and Mutants, it was just too much. Like, the efficiency. Gorebelly has 10 cards in his hand right now. Okay, here comes this concession. All right, game 2. So Maven is out, and we'll see if dchamp decides to stay on Zeb or switch to the other deck. All right, let's see if we can get Aviator in here.
So this is Good Rune and Zeb again. I love big board decks. I really would love to see Zeb get a win here. So
yeah, you like big board decks, and you cannot lie.
That's correct. Yes, that's the truth.
All right. So this is the AOA deck with all the Cutthroat Researches and 11 creatures. So what was banned? Gorebelly had a Worlds Collide deck with like Quixelstone, and that's interesting. That I thought that was probably the most beatable deck for dchamp's lineup.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you may look and just say, well, you know, I want to play this deck with 28 creatures. I just don't want there to be a Quixelstone.
That's true. Yeah, because that deck had, I think it was 17, something around that. So you could play Quixel, in a normal matchup, and with 28 creatures, Quixel probably completely turns it off. So yeah, I think you're right. That deck had to go.
And there's no artifact control, so
right. And I think Zeb doesn't do anything if you can't play creatures.
Right. You hate to see the barn raising get played for no value, but in my experience, that's 2/3 of the time it gets played.
Yeah. But, not a great card.
We might have discussed this before, but it compares. I mean, you can compare it to Warsong in a way, but the part of the problem is that Warsong has no ceiling on how much amber it can generate, whereas barn raising, the limit on what damage it can destroy is how much amber your opponent has. So right there, Warsong already has a little bit of an advantage.
Yeah, it's an additional limitation, and you're already limited by like which creatures of yours can actually fight. Do they have a board that you could fight? I think both those cards are pretty weak, and yeah, barn raising is like even worse.
Yeah, and then Warsong is just kind of like a feel good. Oh, I get this extra benefit for something I was going to do anyway. Now I don't have to choose whether to reap or fight. Whereas with barn raising, it's like when you need it to work, you need it, and if it doesn't work, then game over.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see that as like when they reboot Brobnar, it's like an artifact or something, and like maybe you could trigger the barn raising or Warsong effect.
Yeah, like library access or library card turned. But this would make it better, I think. Yeah.
Okay, so we had, going back a little bit, so we had E on the Fringes do some stealing. Gorebelly drop Anguish, Binding Iron, slow dchamp down. This candle unit's not going to be getting much value. I don't think Gorebelly wants to reap much. I haven't seen any board clears on the other end yet, on the Gorebelly side. So I don't know if it's safe to put down the eddies. And yeah, that key to disc can just go off at the optimal point. But dchamp will draw 2 cards and get to reset with some more creatures.
Yeah, it's a little feel bad to play those creatures into the key, just knowing their time is limited. But at least that's good for the Titan Guardian.
Yeah, I wonder what card is under Jar Goggle. Gorebelly might be able to trigger that.
Oh, there goes the key.
Oh, he didn't even bother reaping. He doesn't want dchamp to draw a single card.
Yep. Yeah, Candle Unit is a really good and I think often overlooked card.
Oh, did he mess up the trigger on Jargoggle? I think it got backup copied before it could trigger its other destroyed effect.
Oh.
Oh.
So that could happen because of a misclick. It could also happen if you have your settings. Well, I want to say wrong, but really it's if you have the default settings.
Yeah. So where did that card go? I see
So
Gorebelly as a card in his archives. But that's from sloppy lab work.
yeah,
Maybe Jargoggle didn't have a card? It could have been Cutthroat Research? That's a possibility.
was it Fila? Did he ever play Fila?
Yeah. Well, yeah, it might be
I wonder.
Fila. So she's
Yeah, I
just
wonder
ended
if
up
the
in a
play.
discard, yeah. I don't
I
know.
guess the play would have been to get 2 draws off of the Fila.
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, she would be on the board, so that would be big. I think it was the settings issue or misclick.
Yeah.
Okay, got Infernus out and Eddie and Quant. Not bad.
Yeah, dchamp was ahead by what Amber there for a second. Gorebelly getting value out of Ronnie plays Ronnie and then life for life on it to kill Edai. That's pretty good value and goes to 8. I think there's another Edai that could come out here, and there's more eye magic that could happen.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting to me, like most of the Amber control options here in Zeb are not don't depend on having a big board necessarily. So, but I do think we'll see the board get built back up now, and Gateway is still extant, as they say.
Yep. And I don't even know if you want to play it. This Brobnar board is hurting dchamp. We've got Narp and Rabskull. So Gorebelly could sit back and play pips.
Yeah, all 17 pips, not to mention the Nerve Blast, the Ronnies, the Entropic Swirl. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. Well, you can reap if there's no board.
Yep.
Except Bog Hunter can't reap no matter what.
Right. Got Alaka value. That feels good.
Okay, Lil Rapskull's stock going up a little bit in my book. That's a pretty interesting proposition right here. Oh, I got swindled.
Yeah, Gorebelly swindles going to 6, checking for key 2. dchamp has the momentum based on their board, though. We'll see how that works out.
Yeah, no more barn raising. He's got to get a... Right. I think he's got to get a stop here, get things going, because he still does not have a key.
Yeah, a second Edai here would be really nice.
Just
but it's
bursting.
Shorty's brew makes Mog Hunter bigger.
Narp in the KFPL. Wow. That is a bad card. Like, just awful.
Yeah, it's true. Life word on the table, that's a gnarly threat. That means a gateway turn turns into 2 turns of not being able to do anything.
Yeah, that's pretty much turns on unlock gateway from an Omega to just a regular card. Because you play it, life ward, not going to really have a good response, then you drop your creatures.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a nice combo, and that's likely to be coming. Also, this Brobnar board, it's got a fight now. So I don't know if you want to keep staying in there. Okay.
Yeah. Wow. Does go Brobnar.
So that's a nice way to get rid of an elusive using Bog Hunter's effect after you fight it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, uses an ARP to kill the Anguish that puts 5 damage on the NARP, getting to the point where someday Bog Hunter might reap. You never know.
Yeah.
And dchamp on 1 key and 3 amber now, so has a little more momentum. But the gateway.
All right, there's
hits.
the life ward, unlocked life ward.
Yeah.
So this is going to be a turn
rough.
skip.
I mean, if you could make an exception and get to play I, you might be okay, right? Like, okay, I'll just play I and discard everything, but not how it works.
Yeah. Well, now that we're here, I guess, what else was dchamp supposed to do? I mean, he could play more creatures. He knows they're getting blown up. So he might as well just get the value from Brobnar while he can. But the downside is he's not seeing more cards. Maybe he likes what's in his hand.
Right. Okay, gets a pip off a Festering Touch. dchamp does. Discards Harbinger. We didn't want to play that anyway.
Yeah. Oh, that's unfortunate. Those cards could have been food for E.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm realizing how much extra value a lot of decks get out of the Eye on the Fringes by having an Exhume.
Yep. And he lost Rot Grub. So if he was hoping to draw into it, he doesn't have it. Okay, Mimic Gel. Yeah, Mimic Gel had a big play in the first game. It turned into a Fandangle. It was great.
That had to have been the only stop he had, right? Because he just played the Mimic Gel for Ronnie, which that's a great play, but he didn't play any other cards. So that must have been the only Logos card in his hand.
Yeah, he's probably on life support.
Mm-hmm. Yikes! Gorebelly steals and Entropic Swirls and other things his way to 10.
Yeah, so he discards his whole hand, stealing. Okay, if all the cards are discs, he can get him off key.
Steals 1, steals 2.
Never got the double spider, unfortunately. Okay, yeah. Gorebelly wins.
GG.
All right, maybe we can see if they have some time to chat. I know it's a bit late where they are. Gorebelly isn't able to join, but he thanks us for the recording. Okay, cool. dchamp's willing to talk, so why don't we call him and dial him in?
Hi.
Hey.
Sorry, I try my best. I lose. My deck are not that good.
No worries.
Yeah. So we're curious. How did you pick your decks for the event?
Those are decks, me and my brother. I just pick the decks that I love, and then that's it.
Cool.
That's awesome.
So yeah, I see that you're on the United Archons team according to the spreadsheet. But yeah,
they just invited me. I think Jupiter invited me. I just accept, but I rarely join them because of other stuffs I'm doing too.
Got it. Okay, because they have quite a collection of decks.
I'm more active at Archon's Corner.
Okay, got it. Cool. Yeah, because I know they have a big library of decks, but yeah, you can use the decks that you're familiar with, and if you're more active in a different community anyway, then that makes sense. So we were really interested by your Worlds Collide deck. It has a lot of wins in organized play and had 28 creatures.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite decks. But can't compete in this Keyforge PL because most decks are very good. Sorry.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
I forgot. My English is not that good. I'm just trying.
It sounds great to me.
Yeah.
Ah.
Yeah, you're doing good. Yeah, it seemed to me like the Dees was hanging in there doing great. The logo seemed good. You know, we were sad to see that barn raising so early, because I think if you get that at the right moment, it could be pretty great. But my own experience is that card never comes up at the right moment.
Yes, I'm so unlucky on that game too.
Yeah.
The cards came up when I don't need it anymore. Yeah, really bad hand.
Yeah, that was pretty tough. But yeah, you
Most
kept
of
it
the
close in
time,
both games.
in my previous games with that deck in Worlds Collide, uh, I got double E and then discard and then 8 opponents this, and I can steal 8 Ember in one turn.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Then the Logos has lots of creatures, lots of archive. I'm archiving those this for the first early turns.
Mm-hmm.
And then maybe after 6 turns or 7 turns, I will call this for the first time, and then steal everything. But this time it didn't happen in those two games.
Yeah, and it was looking like a pretty good comeback in the first game when you were able to blow up all the mutants, and then he resurgenced and like just started drawing a lot of cards again.
That resurgence really helped him.
Mm-hmm. But my favorite play was the Mimic Gel when it became a Fandango and you just started playing your other Logos cards ready.
Yes. I'm trying, but no. Yeah, the deck quality is not that close. Yeah, most people in the KFPL have very strong decks. Yeah, they told me that I can borrow decks, but it's too late. I already submitted my 3 decks, so I'll just deal with it.
Yeah, and I think this deck that we saw, Zeb, I think it's underrated. Like it has a lot of nice combos.
Yes. Yeah, most people were surprised on that. Yes, it is underrated. Early on way back before, that Seb was just a garbage deck for them. So we just buy it from garbage pool.
Wow.
But I managed to make it PL2 in our local chain bound. Yeah, most players were surprised. It's really good, but not that good tonight.
Yeah. So was the ban against Gorebelly's Quixelstone deck, was it because of the Quixelstone?
Yes, more likely. And then I think we already met Gorebelly in our nationals tournament here before. So we already knew his deck.
Yeah, because there's a power level 4 deck with 8 wins and 0 losses.
Yes, it wins in our what we call that.
The Grand
that big
Championship?
tournament next. Something like that. Yes. And then me and my team came second and third way back.
Ah.
We traveled there from our province to Manila just to play that game.
Yeah,
that
it sounds
tournament,
fun.
I mean. Yes.
Can't wait to do that again.
That was way back, before COVID.
Yeah.
In the before times.
Yes. I'm joining ang doctorship in their AC chain bounce most of the time weekly.
Yeah.
If you guys familiar with that, right?
I've heard about it on their podcast, and it sounds like it's a lot of fun. So I encourage anyone watching this to check out the Archon's Corner chain bounce. I know they're at least weekly. So is it once a week or twice a week?
Twice a week the chain bound, and then once a week the sealed.
Awesome. So yeah, those are ways to get some official chains on your decks. Okay, well, good job in the game today. And looking forward to seeing this deck and seeing what your other decks can do. Like, even though the SAS score is lower, sometimes you can get a positive
I noticed my SAS were so low compared to other players in KFPL.
Yeah.
Most decks are so good.
Yeah, a lot of them are really highly rated. They're some Heart of the Forest decks in the Western group. No, there's actually just one that has a SAS that's below 70. And then there's another deck in Group C that has a 69 SAS. And so I've been wondering what's going on with that deck.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I would love to see it get played and maybe even get a win.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay guys, thank you.
Of course,
Yeah.
Thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah,
Yes,
thanks a
thank
lot,
you.
and good luck with the rest of your matches.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye.
Hey, so that's a pretty good wrap up. Good matches there. You want to root for the underdog a little bit, but sometimes it's just the overwhelming firepower that gets it.
Yeah, and it was good to hear more about Archon's Corner and the community there. So we have a lot of strong communities in Keyforge, and they're really welcoming to newer people. So if you enjoyed this video and you want to play more Keyforge online, then check out things like Archon's Corner, or of course Ancient Bear Republic Discord. It's a great place to check out. Sanctimonious Time Shapers. Final Swindle opened up a Discord recently. Many other servers out there. TTR, Tabletop Royale, has great content. So tons and tons of things to get involved with.
Yeah. I was just thinking yesterday, actually, how nice it is in, playing high level. I get to play some of these high level matchups in the KFPL league, but then over in the ABR league, which is a much everybody tries hard, but it is a much more casual league. But many of the same people are there, and so when I'm playing against somebody in like a cutthroat situation, I know them from a more friendly situation, and I don't know, to me it helps. It just helps round out the experience a little bit more to kind of have that a little bit of camaraderie. I mean, even there are other people that I hope to get to play here who are on my same team in the ABR league, and so there's just some cross pollination there between communities and people that I think is a really nice feature. So and definitely, I don't have time to be involved in all the communities, but I think the more different experiences you can be involved with, the more of that you're going to have.
Yeah. And when you see these players that have like a lot of competitive success, then in other contexts you see like they're just people too, and like they play the game a lot and they're pretty good, but they love Keyforge and like having fun, and you can learn a lot from them and maybe even teach them something too.
Yeah.
So absolutely. It's a lot of fun, and there are various levels of competition. Like KFPL is like super intense. Coat can be pretty intense. ABR leagues like a good mixture. Then there's some leagues that are mostly for fun. You can just play casual games online too. So there's something for everyone. Yeah.
Shaka, thanks so much for joining, and thanks for getting started up and letting me join. And anybody watching, thank you, and hope you keep on enjoying Keyforge and playing it yourself and watch others too.
Yeah, sounds great. Thanks for casting with me.